"Stop the presses," she can hear Joan commanding. "Start them again." All in the exercising of Joan's managerial power. Did Jean Tierney ever play Lady Macbeth?
Never mind.
Of course it's made money. And right now it's at a crucial turning point into the really big money. We have new advertisers all lined up. That's why it's so important.
Essie does not say that she has heard this sort of thing often before from Joan. New advertisers have always been lined up. Essie envisions them in a long queue, single file, portfolios in hand, bulging attaché cases outside her daughter's walnut-paneled office door downtown. But the line does not move. It just stands there, blocked at the gates of power, foundering, uncertain, afraid perhaps to tap on the door of the thin, stylish woman who sits at her Chippendale desk inside, twirling a gold pencil. Whenever Essie has read of her daughter's enterprise, it seems to have been in terms of the word foundering. The foundering New York Express, still fueled by the Auerbach millions, etc., etc.
Don't forget you're a stockholder in the paper too, Mother. Will you do as I ask?
I'll do my best.
They start together across the wide foyer and into the paneled library where Richard, looking fit in a hacking jacket, stands at the bar fixing drinks.
Good evening, Richard.
Hi, Nana. Merry Christmas.
He steps toward her, takes both her hands in his, and gives her a peck on the cheek. Richard McAllister is the fourth of Joan's husbands, and perhaps the nicest. At least Essie thinks so. Of the others, well, the less said of them the better, since they are all gone now. Gone, each with a certain share of Joan's money, of course. Richard has always seemed, to Essie at least, to be less interested in the money, more interested in turning Joan's newspaper into something profitable and worthwhile, and not, as it had once seemed to Essie, just another expensive hobby of Joan's. Richard, at least, had been listed, journalist-author, in Who's Who in America when Joan married him, whereas the others, but forget about them. When Joan had told Essie that she was marrying a goy, that she was fed up with Jewish husbands, Essie was more than a little apprehensive. Oil and water don't mix, as Essie's own mother used to say. Mama had been full of little homilies like that. Too many cooks spoil the stew, the early bird catches the worm. Picked up, Essie supposed, as Mama had learned her new language. But as far as Richard was concerned, Essie kept her own counsel, as she usually did when it came to things Joan wanted. And the marriage seems to have worked out well, better than the others, God knows. Joan and Richard have been married now, how long? 8 years at least, longer than the others. And as far as Essie knows, Richard has never physically abused her daughter, which was more than could be said for, but enough of that, which was ancient history. And he seems to get along well with Joan's daughter, Karen. Seeing him tonight, Essie thinks he looks very fine, distinguished even, with his full head of sandy hair, blue eyes, and that good straight nose. Essie has always been certain that Richard is several years younger than Joan, but she has never brought up that matter either.
I'll have my usual, darling,
Joan says, sinking into one of the deep leather chairs, all in one motion, with her thin ankles crossed.
Bourbon old-fashioned, no cherry.
How about you, Nana? A martini tonight or some champagne?
I think my martini tonight. Thank you, Richard.
Joan sits forward, looking expectant, as though about to speak. But at that moment, Mary Farrell appears at the library door, a folder of papers in her hand. Mary has been Essie's secretary for the last 18 years.
Excuse me, Mrs. A., but I thought you might like to check the seating.
Oh, yes, I'd better.
She follows Mary out of the room, adding,
But I really don't know why, Mary. You always do it perfectly.
The dining room is at the other end of the apartment, nearly a full city block away. The apartment is large. Too large, as he often thinks, for one old woman. But one grows accustomed to things, to certain familiar spaces, and one doesn't want to make a change. She needs so much space, she has always reminded herself, because of the art collection. At this point in Essie's life, her paintings have become her oldest and dearest friends, and she thinks that she could not bear to part with one of them. As she and Mary pass through the long central gallery where the heart of the collection hangs, she greets them anew as they glow out from the dark walls under their museum lights. The 7 Cézannes, the 5 Van Goghs, including your precious L'Arlésienne, the Manets, the Monets, the Degas, the Renoirs, the Rousseau, and the magnificent Goya, which the Prado has wanted to buy for years. Along the walls, too, in lighted glass cases, are the Shakespeare First Folios and the collection of illuminated Bibles. And at each corner of the room, the guardian sculptures, 2 by Rodin, 2 by Bourdelle. How did we have the wisdom, Essie asks herself, to find these beautiful things so long ago?